The morning sun glinted off the massive hull of the U.S. Horizon as it stood ready for launch. The ship was Earth's pride, the most advanced vessel humans had ever built. Its sleek design housed experimental engines that promised to take humanity farther into space than ever before. Commander Jack Morrison walked through the ship's main corridor one last time before departure. His blue uniform was perfectly pressed, his posture straight and confident. Yet inside, his stomach twisted with both excitement and worry. "Final checks complete, Commander," said Lieutenant Ryan Peters, looking up from his tablet. "All systems are green." Jack nodded. "Thank you, Lieutenant. Tell the crew we launch in 30 minutes. On Earth, at Mission Control, Jack's wife, Dr. Olivia Morrison, watched the preparations on a large screen. Her hands gripped the edge of the console as cameras showed her husband boarding the ship. As the lead scientist who designed the Horizon's quantum drive, she felt responsible for every person on board. "The anomaly readings are getting stronger," said her assistant, Kelly Wright, pointing to a screen showing strange energy patterns near Pluto. "Whatever it is, it's growing." Olivia frowned. "That's why we're sending the Horizon. If these readings are correct, we may have discovered a natural wormhole forming in our solar system." Up in space, the U.S. Horizon disconnected from the space station. Its engines hummed to life, glowing blue against the darkness of space. Inside the bridge, Jack settled into the captain's chair. "Communications check," he said. "All channels clear," replied Communications Officer Noah Bennett. "Mission Control standing by." Jack took a deep breath. "Navigation. Set course for the anomaly. Engage quantum drive when we clear Mars orbit." The ship moved smoothly away from Earth, accelerating as it went. The crew of 50, scientists, engineers, and military personnel, were the best Earth had to offer. They had trained for years for this mission. 3 days later, the Horizon approached the anomaly. Through the bridge windows, they could see a strange shimmer in space, like looking through disturbed water. "It's beautiful," whispered Science Officer Grace Taylor. "Readings suggest it's stable enough for a probe." Jack nodded. "Launch the probe. Let's see what we're dealing with." The small probe shot forward into the shimmer and disappeared. Data flowed back to the ship for several seconds before suddenly stopping. "Probe signal lost," said Noah, frowning at his screen. "But the data it sent is strange. It suggests the anomaly leads somewhere else, possibly another part of the galaxy." Jack stood from his chair. "Prepare a detailed report for Mission Control. We'll hold position and—" Alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. The deck beneath them shuddered. "Sir," called Engineering Officer Ben Collins over the comm, "the anomaly is pulling us in. Gravitational forces are off the charts." "Full reverse thrust," Jack ordered, gripping his chair as the ship shook violently. On Earth, Olivia watched in horror as the Horizon's signal began to break up. "What's happening?" she demanded. "We're losing them," a technician replied, frantically typing commands. "The anomaly is expanding and—" The screen showing the Horizon suddenly went black. All data feeds from the ship flatlined simultaneously. "Jack," Olivia cried, reaching toward the screen. "Get them back." For hours, Mission Control tried every possible way to contact the ship. They sent signals, launched rescue vessels to the last known location, and scanned every frequency. But the U.S. Horizon had vanished without a trace. Days turned into weeks. Weeks became months. Search efforts continued but found nothing. The anomaly itself had disappeared as mysteriously as it had formed. 1 year after the disappearance, the official investigation concluded with no answers. The U.S. Horizon and its 50 crew members were declared lost in space. But Olivia Morrison refused to accept this. She quit her government position and set up her own lab, dedicated to finding the anomaly again. Most people called her obsessed. Some called her crazy. "I know they're out there somewhere," she told her small team of loyal scientists, "and somehow, someday, they'll find their way back." She didn't know then how right she was, or that when the Horizon returned after 10 long years, Nothing would ever be the same again. 10 years passed since the U.S. horizon vanished. The world had changed. After the loss of their most advanced ship, many countries cut funding for space exploration. People no longer looked to the stars with hope. Instead, they focused on Earth's problems. Dr. Olivia Morrison never stopped searching. Her small lab on the outskirts of Houston continued to scan space for any sign of the anomaly or the horizon. Most of her former colleagues had moved on to other projects. Only a few loyal scientists remained with her. "Dr. Morrison, you should get some rest," said Alex Turner, her assistant. The young scientist had joined her team 5 years ago, fresh out of college and full of belief in her mission. Olivia shook her head. Her once brown hair now had streaks of gray, and lines marked her face. "Not yet." The scanner picked up something unusual near Jupiter's orbit. "It could be nothing, but we need to check." Before Alex could reply, alarms began to sound throughout the building. "What's happening?" Olivia rushed to the main computer. "Multiple objects entering the solar system," Alex said, eyes wide as he looked at the screen. "Big ones. Moving fast." Olivia called up the deep space images. What she saw made her blood run cold. Dozens of massive ships were approaching from beyond Neptune. They were unlike any human vessels. Dark, with strange angles and glowing parts that seemed to shift and change. "Call the Space Defense Center now," she ordered. Within hours, the news spread worldwide. Alien ships had entered our solar system. Earth's military forces went on high alert. The United Nations called an emergency meeting. People filled the streets in panic or gathered in churches to pray. Admiral Frank Carter stood in the main control room of the Space Defense Center. As head of Earth's unified defense forces, he watched grimly as the alien fleet approached. "How many ships?" he asked. "We count 37 large vessels and dozens of smaller ones," replied Lieutenant Diane Russell. "Based on their size and energy readings, each of their large ships could destroy our entire defense fleet." Frank's jaw tightened. "Have they responded to our messages?" "Yes, sir. Just now." The main screen flickered to life. A being appeared that looked almost human but wrong in subtle ways. Its skin was pale blue, with ridge-like features on its face. Its eyes were large and completely black. "People of Earth," it said in perfect English, "I am Supreme Commander Vex of the Krellian Empire. Your planet has been selected for integration into our domain. You will surrender all resources, territory, and authority to Krellian control. You have 30 Earth days to prepare your world for our arrival. Resistance will result in planetary cleansing." The screen went black. Silence filled the control room. Then everyone began talking at once. "Can we fight them?" Frank asked his chief weapons officer. Major Greg Simmons shook his head. "Not with what we have. Our most powerful weapons wouldn't even dent their smallest ships based on the energy readings we're seeing." Frank turned to his communications officer. "Get me the President and the UN Security Council. We need to discuss our options." Over the next week, Earth's nations united as never before. Old enemies set aside differences to face this new threat. Scientists worked around the clock to improve weapons. Military forces trained together. But everyone knew it wasn't enough. Dr. Olivia Morrison was called to Washington to advise the president. She brought all her research on advanced propulsion and energy systems. "Even if we had 20 years, we couldn't develop technology to match theirs," she told the grim-faced leaders gathered in the White House Situation Room. "We need a miracle." As she spoke those words, her phone buzzed with a message from her lab. She glanced down and froze. "Dr. Morrison, are you all right?" the president asked. Olivia looked up, her face pale. "The anomaly. The one that took the horizon. It's back." Before anyone could respond, a young officer burst into the room. "Sir, you need to see this. Something just entered Earth orbit. It's broadcasting on all frequencies." The room's main screen came to life, showing a ship unlike any they had seen before. Part of it looked like human design, but it was changed, larger, with strange growths and patterns across its hull that seemed to pulse with inner light. A message came through, making Olivia's heart stop. Earth Defense Command. This is Commander Jack Morrison of the U.S. Horizon. We've come home. The U.S. Horizon hovered above Earth, looking both familiar and strange. Its hull now had flowing lines that seemed to move slightly when viewed directly. Lights pulsed along its surface in patterns that no human engineer had designed. At the lunar base, a small group waited in the docking bay. Dr. Olivia Morrison stood at the front, her heart racing. After 10 years of hoping and searching, she would finally see her husband again, if he was still the man she remembered. Admiral Frank Carter stood beside her with armed guards. "We don't know what's coming off that ship," he had told her earlier. "We need to be careful." Olivia barely heard him. Her eyes were fixed on the airlock where the Horizon had connected to the station. With a hiss of air, the doors slid open. A tall figure stepped through, wearing what looked like a modified version of an Earth Fleet uniform. It took Olivia a moment to recognize her husband. Jack Morrison's face was thinner, with a long scar running from his left temple to his jaw. His eyes had a strange, subtle glow to them. But when he smiled at her, she knew him instantly. "Olivia," he said, his voice deeper than she remembered. She ran forward, ignoring the guards who tensed. Jack caught her in his arms, holding her tightly. "I knew you'd come back," she whispered. Over Jack's shoulder, Olivia saw other crew members emerging from the airlock. Only about 25 people, half the original crew. All of them looked changed in small ways. They moved too smoothly. Their eyes seemed too aware, taking in everything at once. Admiral Carter stepped forward. "Commander Morrison, on behalf of Earth, welcome home. But I think you understand why we have questions." Jack nodded, keeping one arm around Olivia. "The ship has changed. We have changed. But we're still human, Admiral, and we're still loyal to Earth." "Where have you been for 10 years?" Carter asked. "For us, it's been closer to 30, Jack replied. "Time moves differently where we went. The anomaly was a wormhole that took us to another galaxy, to the territory of beings called the Architects." He gestured to his crew. "We've fought a war alongside them against the same enemy that now threatens Earth, the Krellians." Carter's eyes narrowed. "So you know about the Krellian fleet." "We detected them as soon as we returned to this solar system," said a woman who stepped forward. Olivia recognized her as Lieutenant Samantha Wells, the ship's engineer. Like Jack, she seemed different, more intense, with eyes that seemed to see too much. "The Krellians have been expanding their empire for thousands of years," Samantha continued. "They find developing worlds, conquer them, and strip them of resources." Jack looked at Carter. "We know how they fight. We know their weaknesses. And most importantly, we have technology that can help Earth defend itself." "What kind of technology?" Olivia asked, her scientific curiosity awakened despite the emotional moment. Jack smiled. "The Architects are ancient beings of pure energy. They've evolved beyond physical bodies. Their technology merges with living systems, with people, with ships. It adapts and evolves." He held out his hand, palm up. A small ball of blue light appeared above it, floating and pulsing. Everyone except the Horizon crew stepped back in shock. "This is just a simple energy manipulation," Jack explained. "The Architects helped us change on a cellular level, so we could use their technology. The Horizon itself is now part machine, part living organism." Admiral Carter's face showed both fear and hope. "Can this technology be shared with Earth?" "Some of it," Jack said, closing his hand. The light vanished. "We can upgrade your weapons and defense systems. We can teach your scientists the basic principles. But much of it requires changes to use properly." "Changes like what happened to you?" Olivia asked quietly. Jack looked at her, his strange eyes softening. "Yes, but that's a choice each person would have to make. We didn't have that choice when the wormhole took us." Admiral Carter stepped forward. We have less than 3 weeks before the Krellian deadline. How quickly can we implement these defenses? We should start immediately, Jack said. The Horizon carries templates for the most critical systems. With Earth's manufacturing capabilities and our guidance, we might just have enough time. He looked around at the lunar base. But first, I need to see what we're working with. The Earth we left is not the Earth we've returned to. Olivia took his hand. It felt warmer than human skin should be. I'll show you what's changed. And then you can show us how to save our world. Earth's leaders gathered in a large underground bunker in Colorado. On screens around the room, officials from other countries watched as Commander Jack Morrison and his crew explained what they had learned during their long absence. The architects told us they were once like humans, Jack said, standing in the center of the room. Over millions of years, they evolved beyond physical bodies. But the Krellians hunt them because they fear their power. Lieutenant Samantha Wells stepped forward and placed a small device on the table. It was about the size of a coin but glowed with a blue light. This contains the plans for weapons and shields that can stand against Krellian technology, she said. Your scientists can build them using Earth materials. The president leaned forward. If these architects are so powerful, why don't they help us directly? Jack's face grew serious. Their numbers are few now. The Krellians have killed most of them in their war. The survivors are scattered across galaxies, hiding and gathering strength. Olivia had been quiet, watching her husband closely. Something about him still felt different beyond his appearance. The way he spoke, the way he moved. It was Jack, but changed in ways she couldn't fully understand. How exactly were you changed? She asked suddenly. You said it was at a cellular level. The room grew silent. Jack looked at her, then at his crew members, who nodded slightly. The architect technology bonds with organic matter, he explained. It started with small implants to help us survive in their environment. Then, as we fought alongside them, we needed better ways to use their weapons, their ships. He rolled up his sleeve. His skin seemed normal at first, but as they washed, patterns like circuits appeared just below the surface, glowing faintly blue. We're still human, he said as shocked murmurs filled the room. But we've been enhanced. We heal faster. We can interface directly with architect technology. We can even communicate with each other without speaking. Security agent Paul Winters, who had been standing quietly at the back of the room, stepped forward. How do we know you're still loyal to Earth? These architects could have changed more than your bodies. Jack faced him calmly. A fair question. The architects never controlled us. They needed allies who could think differently than them. That's why they helped us, not changed who we are. Admiral Carter cleared his throat. While these questions are important, we have more urgent matters. The Krellian deadline is approaching. Commander Morrison, what do you suggest we do first? First, we need to upgrade Earth's defense satellites with architect shield technology, Jack said. Then modify your weapons systems. The Horizon can help with both. For the next 2 days, the Horizon crew worked with Earth's best scientists and engineers. They transferred technical plans and helped build prototypes of new weapons. The first tests showed promise. A small shield generator successfully blocked weapons that would normally destroy a tank. Olivia worked closely with Jack and Samantha, trying to understand the principles behind the architect technology. What she learned amazed her. It's like it's alive, she told Jack as they examined a piece of the Horizon's hull in her lab. The metal responds to thought somehow. Jack nodded. The architects don't see the difference between life and technology that we do. To them, it's all energy in different forms. Olivia hesitated, then asked the question that had been bothering her. Are you still, you, inside? Jack took her hand. It felt warmer than human skin should be, but his touch was gentle. I have all my memories, all my feelings. I still love you, Olivia. That hasn't changed. He smiled, but there was sadness in his eyes. But I've seen things no human was meant to see. I've fought in battles across stars. That changes a person, with or without architect technology. Before Olivia could respond, an alarm sounded. Jack's head snapped up, his eyes suddenly alert. "Something's wrong," he said, already moving toward the door. "The Krellians, they're moving faster than expected." Admiral Carter's voice came over the base's speakers. "All personnel to emergency stations. Krellian vessels have entered Earth orbit. They're ahead of schedule." Jack looked at Olivia, his face grim. "We're out of time." The skies above Earth filled with Krellian ships. They were massive black vessels, shaped like arrowheads with glowing red lines running along their hulls. People around the world watched in fear as the alien fleet took position. In the command center, Admiral Carter studied the screens showing the enemy positions. "They're spreading out to surround the planet. No attacks yet." "They're showing their strength," Jack said, entering the room with Olivia and several of his crew. "Making sure we understand we can't win in a direct fight." The main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. The blue-skinned face of Supreme Commander Vex appeared. "People of Earth," he said, his black eyes cold. "Your time to prepare for integration has ended early. We detected energy signatures matching architect technology on your world. This changes everything." Jack stepped forward. "They know about the horizon. They must have detected our work on the defense systems." Vex continued, "Your world now harbors enemies of the Krellian Empire. Surrender them immediately, or we will begin planetary bombardment in 6 hours." The screen went dark. 6 hours, Admiral Carter said, his voice tight. "What can we do in 6 hours?" Jack turned to his crew. "We need to get the horizon ready for battle. Lieutenant Wells, how many of Earth's satellites have been upgraded?" "Only 12, Samantha replied. "Not enough for a complete shield network." Olivia stepped forward. "What about the prototype we were working on? The one that could amplify the shield's coverage?" Jack nodded. "It's our best option. Get your team on it immediately." Security Agent Paul Winters watched the exchange with narrowed eyes. He pulled Admiral Carter aside. "Sir, I don't trust them. This all happened too conveniently. The horizon returns, and suddenly the aliens arrive early." "What are you suggesting?" Carter asked. "I've been monitoring their communications. One of them, Communications Officer Noah Bennett, has been sending strange signals from his quarters. They're encoded in a way our systems can't read." Carter frowned. "Could be communicating with their ship, or with the Krellians," Winters insisted. "We need to bring him in for questioning." Carter hesitated, then nodded. "Do it quietly. We can't afford any disruptions right now." Across the base, Olivia worked with Jack and Samantha to modify the shield prototype. The device was about the size of a microwave, but contained technology that seemed to shift and move when not viewed directly. "If we can increase the power," Jack explained, "one device could protect a whole city. A network of 20 could cover the major population centers." Olivia's hands moved quickly over the device. Despite only having a few days to learn about the architect technology, she understood it better than any other Earth scientist. "The principles are similar to quantum field manipulation," she said, "but it's like the fields are, aware somehow." Samantha smiled. "That's close. The architects believe all energy has a kind of consciousness. Their technology works with that consciousness, not against it." Suddenly, they heard shouting from the hallway. Jack looked up, his enhanced senses already alerting him to trouble. The door burst open. Security Agent Winters entered with armed guards, their weapons pointed at Noah Bennett, who was being held between two officers. "We caught him sending encrypted transmissions," Winters announced. "Probably to the Krellians." Noah's face showed shock. "I was communicating with the horizon. Our ship's systems need constant updates." "Then you won't mind if we decode your transmissions," Winters said coldly. Jack stepped forward. "We don't have time for this. The Krellians will attack in less than 5 hours now." "And how do we know that's not exactly what you planned?" Winters demanded. "You disappeared for 10 years and returned just days before an alien invasion with convenient technology to help us." The tension in the room grew. Guards looked uncertain about where to point their weapons. Olivia moved between Jack and the guards. I can verify Noah's transmissions. If he was talking to the ship, the frequency patterns would match the Horizon systems. Winters hesitated, then nodded. You have 1 hour. If he's clean, we'll release him. But I'm keeping guards on all of them. As Winters left with Noah, Jack turned to Olivia. We're running out of time. The shields need to be ready when the attack begins. I know, she said, but people are scared. They need to trust you. Jack looked at the ceiling, as if he could see through it to the enemy ships waiting above. Trust won't matter if we're all dead in 5 hours. Olivia worked quickly in the lab, analyzing Noah's communications. Jack paced nearby while Samantha continued modifying the shield prototypes. 2 armed guards watched from the doorway. I found something, Olivia said suddenly. She pointed to her screen where wavelength patterns scrolled by. These aren't normal transmissions. There's something embedded in them. Jack looked over her shoulder. His enhanced vision could see patterns that normal humans would miss. That's not architect technology, he said, his voice growing tense. What is it then? Olivia asked. Before Jack could answer, the door opened and Admiral Carter entered with Agent Winters and Noah between 2 guards. Noah's face was pale, his eyes darting around the room. What did you find? Carter asked. Olivia turned her screen so they could see. There's a hidden signal in Noah's transmissions. It doesn't match any pattern from the Horizon or architect technology. All eyes turned to Noah. For a moment, he stood still. Then, without warning, he moved with inhuman speed, breaking free from the guards and grabbing a metal tool from the workbench. Jack was faster. He tackled Noah before he could reach Olivia. They crashed into a table, sending equipment flying. Hold him down, Winters shouted as the guards rushed forward. Jack pinned Noah to the floor. What did they do to you? He demanded. Noah's face changed. His eyes turned completely black, like a Krellion's. You fools, he said, his voice different now. The Krellions found us 6 months ago. They took me during a scouting mission. He's been compromised, Jack said grimly. The Krellions put something in him. Samantha approached cautiously. Let me scan him. She held up her hand, and blue light emerged from her fingertips, washing over Noah's struggling form. There's a Krellion implant in his brain, she reported. It's controlling him, using him to spy on us. Can you remove it? Olivia asked. Samantha nodded, with the right equipment from the Horizon. But it's dangerous. Admiral Carter looked at his watch. We have less than 4 hours before the attack begins. Can we use this to our advantage? Jack helped the guards secure Noah to a chair. If we can access the implant, we might get information about their attack plans. Do it, Carter ordered. Winters, stay here and observe. I need to coordinate our defenses. As Carter left, Samantha began preparing equipment from her pack. I'll need your help, Olivia. Your knowledge of human biology combined with what I know about Krellion tech might save his life. While they worked, Jack returned to the shield prototypes. These need to be deployed within the next 2 hours to be effective. How many do we have? Winters asked, his suspicion seeming to fade as he watched Jack work. 15 functional units, Jack replied. Not enough for global coverage, but enough for major population centers and military bases. In the corner, Samantha and Olivia carefully operated on Noah. The Krellion implant was a small, spider-like device attached to his brainstem. Careful, Samantha whispered. If it detects tampering, it could kill him. Olivia's hands were steady as she followed Samantha's instructions. Slowly, they disconnected the alien technology from Noah's nervous system. Got it, Olivia said as the device came free. It twitched in the container. Samantha quickly sealed it in. Noah gasped, his eyes returning to normal. What happened? You were compromised, Jack told him. The Krellions were using you to spy on us. Noah's face filled with shame. I remember being captured. Then nothing clear until now. Just flashes of watching myself do things. It wasn't your fault, Samantha assured him. Winters stepped forward. What information did they get from him? Everything, Noah said quietly. Our plans, our technology. They know about the shields. Jack's face hardened. Then we need to change our strategy. Olivia examined the Krellian implant through the container. This might help us. If we can understand how it works, we might find a weakness in their systems. Suddenly, the base shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. That felt like an impact, Jack said, already moving toward the door. The communication system crackled to life with Admiral Carter's voice. All personnel to battle stations. The Krellians have begun their attack early. Multiple impacts on our outer defenses. Jack looked at the others, his face grim. They're not waiting 6 hours. The war for Earth has already begun. The command center was chaos. Screens showed Krellian ships firing on Earth's defensive satellites and military bases. Red warning lights flashed as reports of damage came in from around the world. Our conventional weapons aren't even scratching their ships, Admiral Carter said as Jack and the others rushed in. The shield network isn't ready, Jack told him. We need more time. Olivia held up the container with the Krellian implant they had removed from Noah. We might be able to use this against them. It's connected to their network somehow. Jack looked at the device, then at the screens showing the attacking fleet. His enhanced mind worked faster than a normal human's, seeing patterns and possibilities. The horizon, he said suddenly. It has fully integrated architect systems. If we can get to the ship, we stand a chance. The lunar base is under heavy attack, an officer reported. Getting to your ship won't be easy. We have to try, Jack said. He turned to his crew members who had gathered in the command center. We need to return to the horizon. Who's with me? Every member of the Horizon crew stepped forward without hesitation. I'm coming too, Olivia said, gripping Jack's arm. You need someone who understands both Earth tech and what you've learned about architect systems. Jack wanted to protest, to keep her safe, but there was no time, and he knew she was right. We'll take a shuttle, he decided. With the modifications we've made, it might get through. Admiral Carter nodded. I'll order a diversion to cover your launch. But Morrison, he looked Jack in the eye. If you can't stop them, at least try to save some of our people. Take refugees if you have to flee. We're not running, Jack promised. This is our home. 20 minutes later, Jack, Olivia, and 10 crew members boarded a modified shuttle. The small craft had been quickly upgraded with architect shield technology, making it their best chance to break through the Krellian attack and reach the moon. Launch in 30 seconds, the pilot, Lieutenant Dan Foster, announced. Jack took Olivia's hand. Stay close to me up there. She nodded, eyes determined despite her fear. Always. The shuttle shot from Earth's surface, accelerating faster than any normal Earth vessel could manage. Above them, the dark shapes of Krellian ships filled the sky, firing energy weapons at targets below. Shields holding at 80%, Samantha reported as red beams struck their vessel. But they're noticing us now. The shuttle rocked as more enemy fire focused on them. Lieutenant Foster's hands flew over the controls, the ship dancing between energy beams. They're trying to box us in, he called out. 3 ships moving to intercept. Jack moved to the front of the shuttle. I can help. He placed his hands on a panel Samantha had installed. The panel glowed blue under his touch. Suddenly, the shuttle moved in ways it wasn't designed to, making turns that should have torn it apart. The architect technology strengthened the hull just enough to withstand the forces. We're almost there, Foster said as the lunar surface came into view, but there's heavy fighting around the base. Through the viewport, they could see Krellian ships firing at the lunar base. Parts of the facility were already damaged, with debris floating in the moon's low gravity. There, Olivia pointed. The horizon is still in its dock. The ship looked different than when they had left it. Its surface rippled with patterns of light, and parts of the hull seemed to be moving slightly, adapting to the nearby battle. It's defending itself, Jack explained. The architect systems are active. A massive explosion rocked the lunar base as they approached. A section of the docking bay wall blew outward, debris narrowly missing their shuttle. "We can't dock normally," Foster said. "The bay is too damaged." Jack's face became determined. "Get as close as you can to the horizon. We'll make our own entrance." As the shuttle approached the modified Earth ship, the horizon's hull seemed to reach out toward them, forming a tunnel-like structure that extended to meet them. "The ship recognizes us," Samantha said with a slight smile. "It's creating a direct boarding path." Foster guided the shuttle into the strange, organic-looking tunnel. With a soft thud, they connected to the horizon. "We're here," Jack said, already moving toward the exit. "Now, the real fight begins." Inside the horizon, lights flickered on as Jack and his crew rushed through the corridors. The ship felt alive, humming with energy that responded to their presence. "The bridge is secure," Samantha reported as they entered the command center. "Ship systems are at 89% capacity." Jack took his position in the captain's chair, which reshaped itself slightly to fit him perfectly. "Begin launch sequence. We need to get out there and help Earth." Olivia stared in wonder at the bridge. It was nothing like a normal Earth ship anymore. The controls were mostly smooth surfaces that glowed with shifting patterns, responding to the crew's thoughts as much as their touch. "The Krellians have detected us powering up," Noah said from the communication station. His eyes were clear now, free of the alien control. "They're sending ships to attack." "Let them come," Jack said, his voice confident. "This ship has faced worse." The horizon detached from the lunar base as the dock around it crumbled from enemy fire. The ship rose smoothly, its engines glowing with blue-white light that was nothing like conventional rocket exhaust. 3 Krellian attack vessels converged on them, firing red energy beams that struck the horizon's hull. "Shields holding at 95%, Lieutenant Foster reported. "Their weapons are powerful, but the architect defenses are adapting." Jack looked at Olivia. "This is what we learned from the architects. Their technology evolves during battle, getting stronger against whatever hits it." "Show me what this ship can do," she said, taking the seat beside him. Jack smiled and turned to his weapons officer. "Target the lead Krellian vessel. Let's show them what they're dealing with." The horizon's hull shifted, forming what looked like organic cannons that extended from various points. Blue energy gathered at their tips before firing in coordinated bursts. The beams hit the lead Krellian ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then cracks of blue light spread across the alien vessel's hull. The ship shuddered and broke apart, its black hull crumbling as if being eaten from within. "Direct hit," Samantha announced. "The architect weapons target their power systems specifically." "Earth Defense Command is hailing us," Noah said. Admiral Carter's face appeared on the main screen. He looked worn but hopeful. "Morrison, we're seeing what you're doing up there. Our satellites show the Krellians regrouping. They didn't expect resistance like this," Jack explained. "We've destroyed one of their ships and the others are pulling back to reassess. We need more than just a moment's pause," Carter said. "The shield network is only at 40% coverage. We need time to finish deploying it." Jack nodded. "We'll give you that time. The horizon is going to take the fight directly to their command ship." He pointed to a massive vessel at the center of the Krellian fleet. "If we can take out their leader, it might throw their forces into confusion." "That's suicide," Carter protested. "Their flagship is 10 times the size of the horizon." "Size isn't everything," Jack replied with a slight smile. "And we have one advantage they don't expect." After ending the transmission, Jack turned to his crew. "The architects taught us how to create localized wormholes. We can jump directly beside their command ship." "That's incredibly dangerous," Samantha warned. "It will drain most of our power." "It's our best option," Jack insisted. "Earth needs time." The crew prepared for the dangerous maneuver. Olivia watched as Jack placed both hands on a glowing panel. The ship's engines changed tone, and the view outside the windows began to distort. "Coordinates locked," Jack said, his enhanced body channeling energy into the ship's systems. "Prepare for jump." Space folded around the horizon. For a brief moment, they seemed to exist in two places at once. Then, with a flash of light, they vanished from near the moon and reappeared directly alongside the massive Krellian flagship. Alarms blared on the Krellian vessel. They had been caught completely by surprise. "Fire everything we have," Jack ordered. The horizon unleashed its full arsenal. Blue energy beams tore into the Krellian ship's hull. The two vessels were so close that the Krellians couldn't bring most of their weapons to bear. "We've breached their engines," Foster reported, "but our power is critically low after the jump." Suddenly, the Krellian ship began to glow from within. Warning signals flashed across the horizon's controls. "They're overloading their core," Samantha shouted. "If it explodes, the blast will destroy half the fleet and damage Earth." Jack's face showed grim determination. "There's only one option. We need to contain the explosion." He looked at Olivia, his enhanced eyes showing a depth of emotion his changed body couldn't fully express. "I'm sorry." Before she could respond, Jack activated the ship's emergency systems. A force field formed around Olivia, and she was suddenly transported to an escape pod. "Jack, no!" she screamed as the pod launched automatically. Through the pod's window, she watched as the horizon wrapped itself around the Krellian flagship, blue energy forming a cocoon around both ships. Then, in a flash brighter than the sun, both vessels vanished. The horizon had created one final wormhole, taking the exploding enemy ship with it to empty space far from Earth. The Krellian fleet, leaderless and shaken by the loss of their flagship, began to break formation. Earth's defenders, inspired by the horizon's sacrifice, pressed their advantage. In her escape pod drifting back toward Earth, Olivia wept. But deep inside, she felt something else, a tiny pulse of energy that reminded her of Jack's touch. Somehow, she knew this wasn't truly the end. The war for Earth was turning. Humanity had a chance, and somewhere across the stars, the essence of what Jack Morrison had become might still exist, waiting to find its way home once more.